workshop to order.
Actually, it's
Or
a
public hearing. I'm sorry.
This is a public hearing for the GO bond for the Government Center. The bond for the Government Center was awarded to Flag Holding LLC on July 12, 2021 in the amount of $3,106,000 with a contingency of $150,000 to make it $3,256,000. The RFP was for land acquisition, design, and construction of a municipal building. The new government center will be located at 18 Drew Avenue Northeast. This facility will house City Hall, council chambers, police department, and fire department. So tonight, public hearing for anybody that has any questions, comments, concerns in regards to the GO bond.
And I'd open up the floor for comments.
Well, I guess I've got some questions.
Okay.
Have you calculated how much property taxes and stuff are gonna go up on this? If this is bonded?
Yep, so this bond will not affect any of the debt service. This bond, the debt service will be handled with the CenterPoint Energy franchise fee that we put in place about a year ago. So a portion of the bond will be paid with that, and then the other portion will come out of the general fund budget, which has already been budgeted. So like, for instance, building repairs and maintenance for all of these facilities then go towards the payment of the bond. So this will not affect your taxes at all. Nothing will increase.
I find that hard to believe.
Okay.
I mean,
So
this is money that's gotta come from someplace.
Yep, and it is. So the franchise fee. So the franchise fee that is imposed on your CenterPoint Energy bill that we did about a year ago. So you're already paying for that. So you've already started
I'm
that.
already paying for the $2.8 million.
So that franchise fee, we actually just received the first quarter. So that money is already coming in to pay for this bond payment of $116,000 a year. So $116,000 a year we pay for this bond payment. So over half of that bond payment is paid by the franchise fee, which is coming in from CenterPoint Energy's bill, okay? So the other portion, the other half of it has already been budgeted within the budget for maintenance and projection of doing a new building in the future. So there is no increase in the debt service. The debt service is staying the same at $74,000 like it is already. And our budget is still the same because that portion that was being budgeted for repairs and maintenance is now going to a bond payment. Does that make sense?
Well, what happens if in your general fund, something else comes up that you need money for?
That's why we have reserves and stuff. So like, give me an example.
Well, okay, our property taxes went up, what, 15.8% last year because of the streets that you had to fix, correct?
That's, well, and yes and no, help me out.
Yes and no, because the taxes went up, and it was more than the 3%.
Well, the taxes did go up more than 3%.
Correct.
The total value of the properties in town also went up substantially. So I don't know if you saw any of the information in the tax workshop breakdown. The actual increase percentage, I don't have that slideshow in front of me, but it was.
You want me to go grab it?
It was closer to like 6 or 7%.
Did the value of your property, did your value of your property go up?
Not much, but my taxes went up.
Cause sometimes that was the effect of some people's property is that the value went up.
Well, mine
So-
didn't particularly go up much, but okay.
So we can go take a look at that too if you'd like.
No, I'm just
But
asking some questions.
So there's been a pretty big discrepancy, and we had multiple conversations with the assessor and with the auditor and with all
So
those.
you tell the auditor to make sure, or the assessor to make sure that you raise everybody's.
No,
Mm-mm.
no, what we're really trying to do is just make sure that it's fair. Whatever the property values are, as long as everybody's being equally assessed with the current market value, then things should equal out over a period of time. The problem is, that's a 5-year cycle for them to go through Medilia and reassess everybody's properties. So and we have that whole booklet of information, but in the last 16 years, the properties in this town have gone from basically where they are now, down or devalued close to 25%, and now have been revalued that 25% over the course of 3 auditors and 4 assessors or whatever's been at the county. And it changes every cycle because of the way that they're estimating property tax values and the way that the taxes are getting distributed. And it's frustrating. It's very frustrating for long-term planning. It's frustrating for trying to get infrastructure that's been, you know, in the ground for, in some cases, 80, 90 years.
Well, and I would think you'd have a lot more of those problems coming up. Like
Absolutely.
significant.
And we're planning on that.
And how are you planning on that? What are you doing to plan for that?
So back to the debt service at the
Right.
74,000, that was, I'm getting you to a debt service that always stays the exact same. So those bonds are at 10 years each. So Adam, sitting right here, we're already starting the next capital improvement plan. So as soon as that one bond falls off, another one goes on it, you know, trying to stay at the same level, so it isn't such an impact on you. Keeping the same level throughout, but constantly trying to keep those rotation of the infrastructure changing out and improving it.
And we're constantly looking for grant opportunities, and me and Adam had a conversation last week about what can we do for, how are these other towns, how's Tyler, Minnesota, for example, or any of the other towns that I drive through when I go to South Dakota, and I know they're the size of our town, how are they doing a full water distribution center replacement or upgrade? And
So what is this city center that nobody in town seems to know about? Because I'm asking. other
the
people in
government
town.
center,
Yeah,
It's-
what is this $2.8 million?
it's a
And-
replacement for this fire hall,
Yeah,
replacement for this building.
so
And
you're
the
not gonna
police
be here
department.
anymore.
No.
Why?
No.
What? The new fire truck that's on order does not fit in the current building that we have.
So, but you could do something with the fire department, not the whole thing.
When we got an estimate from the engineer to,
Fix this
fix
building.
the wall that's falling off the back of the building, we were at about $2.5 million to fix the building we're in.
But it's, so you couldn't just build a fire hall
We
someplace else,
got a
where
price.
you're putting this wonderful city center. Or
Where is it?
whatever it
In
is
the
you're
old
doing.
better building.
Yeah, so, and there's sketches and plans and site plans.
Do you think that that's something that the people in town should be able to see?
Yeah, well, absolutely, I think,
We have,
yeah,
Where? I haven't seen it.
it hadn't been public until it was voted on. Well, it was public for the, yeah, request for proposal.
mhm,
And
But-
that wasn't a
yeah.
public meeting though.
yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So you should really come to every one of your meetings to see what's going on.
Well,
You're
It's
you're
in the
more than
plan.
welcome, I mean, they're all
Yeah.
public.
it's in the,
Is it on TV anymore? Well, I don't get
It's on
comments. so it
YouTube.
doesn't
No,
matter.
it's
it's
on
on
YouTube.
YouTube now.
It's on YouTube.
So if, and I've talked to people, if I put a petition together and it gets signed by how many people, then you would have to put it up for a vote.
And I will have George, our financial advisor, get you that information. I don't know the numbers right off the top of my head.
Okay. I'm just asking, that's what I'm asking.
I
Yeah,
can get
cause
you
it
that
could
information.
definitely go up a lot more than that. The last time we did a fire hall, it was almost $7 million.
The estimate
Now,
was.
did somebody, I don't know, somebody said that a lot of other people put up fire halls and they had money from the state or grants or something. Are you taking advantage of that?
At this time, there was none there's grants out there, but they're unfunded at this time.
But there was some that you could have gotten that you didn't
A
do.
couple of years
A
ago.
couple of years ago, but not now.
And why didn't you do it then?
Cause they
We've
don't
gotta
end
have,
up,
first we've gotta have land to put it on. I mean,
And we tried to acquire the triangle. I mean, there's been numerous attempts to do these things over the years and it just hasn't worked out.
So the grants 2 years ago that you could have gotten, now we as taxpayers or somebody's gonna be paying.
Well, even
Because
your,
The money out of the
everybody's
city
paying for
pocket
this.
would have been more than this, even with the grants,
the last building,
with the grants.
the last
Oh,
building,
you're kidding.
the last building
Why would I
plan,
kid you? I have no reason to kid you.
the last building plan that got put together was a $6
Yeah.
million building, twice as much money. That's why it didn't get voted in, that's why it didn't go any further, because
So
we
what
couldn't.
is the level that you don't need to? You can just do it and not have to, just do it.
What do you mean?
Well, okay, this can be brought up and you voted on. Is there a lower amount, or is there an amount that you don't have to have voted on at all, for anything? Like for assessment, for buildings, for streets?
There's
for-
not gonna be any assessments or anything on this. It's all internally funded. The funds
That
for
was the
this
first
are,
thing I asked.
the
I said, if
funds
we're
for
getting a
this are
tax
coming
increase,
from
I don't
the
want it.
current general fund and the franchise fee.
But you're just assuming that everything's gonna stay status quo.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
And you're gonna guarantee that.
well, you can't guarantee that.
Well, no, you
Nobody,
can't.
nobody can, but
but we gotta build a fire hall sometime, and, when Joe McCabe was here, and when I talked to Joe the other day, the first plans for a new fire hall and upgrades started 30 years ago already. And it's never come all the way full circle. And the council felt, when we put out request for proposal and move everything down to the other end of Main Street, we got a real fair dollar amount, because we went to Wold Architect and got a preliminary estimate if we were to build a government center or a fire hall on a virgin piece of property. Their estimates were between $8 and $11 million. So, and as a city, we can't afford at this time to spend $8 to $11 million. We looked at doing it the other way. So we put out for a request for proposal, and we got a proposal that was agreed on with the council that is much more equitable, and it'll also keep us in the debt service where we need to be. You know, and if we don't do something before the new fire truck comes in, because the newest fire truck, I believe, that's in the fire hall is 2013, Cody?
I don't remember what year it is.
But,
I know the new one's gonna, what is it, 2 years, Travis? So,
and the
2 or-
oldest
2 or
one
2
in
and a half
there,
years.
yeah, the oldest one in there is 40 years old, and they don't make fire trucks small anymore. They just, so to remodel this facility wasn't cost effective.
Do you
So-
think that you need a better public relations image as talking to people as to what you were planning on doing? Because it's kind of the standard joke around town is, yeah, we think they're gonna buy fires, but nothing's ever said. It's gotta be the biggest, darkest, deepest secret around town.
For the last year, it has not been a deep, dark secret. It's
Well,
been discussed
nobody
for.
that I know of knows anything about it. We just kinda laugh and say, oh well.
I'm the attorney
here's
for
the
the,
city
I'm the
that's
attorney for
doing
the
this.
board, ma'am, and I'm sorry to cut you off. Don't
Yeah,
hold it against
no,
them.
okay.
But these people have been working very hard to make this come to fruition. And I have to say, having been the attorney here for, at least on a part-time basis, for about a decade, them trying to figure out, well, where do we put this fire hall? Well, what do we do with a falling apart government center? And now we actually found a solution that's cost effective, that's not gonna increase taxes, and people are coming complaining about it after this has been discussed for 10 years in this room, for a decade. And he's telling you the truth. $8 to $11 million, some magical facility that we can never afford. But we have the opportunity with that building to meet our needs and save the taxpayers $5 to $7 million. They did a hell of a good job, and they've done it over the course of a year. We have these public meetings for a reason. The pandemic has hampered some of that information, but it's been discussed. And I know, because unfortunately I have pretty much an eidetic memory, so everything that Mr. Gapp has said and that Mike said, I've heard it at least 4 or 5 times and could actually tell you about it. And I'm not upset with you, ma'am, or your frustrations, but damn, they did a heck of a good job, and I'm kind of upset that someone would come in after they've worked for like 10 years. This is something like Mike's been working on since he's been the mayor. Since some of these people have been on the board, it's all that we've talked about or worked with, along with all these other dealings. And it's gonna be debt neutral. It's not gonna adversely affect the people of this city at all. It's a really good thing. And it's taken a lot of effort and work over time, and it's finally coming to fruition. And I don't even live in this town, and I'm a little frustrated by you not being told about this or not having the
Well,
knowledge.
that's my frustration, is why aren't we being told this?
They've
Is it in
been
the
talking
paper?
about it on the TV for years.
Nobody listens to
The
the
request for
TV.
proposal was,
Request
Yeah,
for
the
proposal.
request for proposal, I mean, it's all kind of come to a head here in the last month as far as, because until that request for proposal was out, there was no actual plan of action until that happened. So, and that's how it was done, I guess.
And you don't think that maybe this should be discussed and in the paper on, so many people don't get the paper. It's
Well,
amazing.
well, then how do
So-
we
That is a-
No,
that's
but
somebody-
if you wanna walk around town and ask people, they're very frustrated.
You know,
Yeah, and I
because
haven't
they
had a
don't
negative
know
comment
what's
yet till
going on.
tonight.
I'm,
And I've
honestly,
got-
I
You're
am.
not talking to the.
I'm talking
Honestly,
to
I'm
everybody.
blindsided because I haven't had one person that I've talked to.
Well,
say
they're
anything
not gonna
bad.
come talk to you.
But they're the
Why
people,
wouldn't
They
they?
have talked.
they're the ones they should be
No.
They're
talking
the ones that
about
make
if they
the
have
decisions.
concerns.
Why wouldn't they come talk to us?
Cause I don't see any of you around town.
I know every
Come on.
time I see you, I stop and say hi,
Say hi.
you know,
I'm
and
telling you,
I'm
there's a lot of
always,
frustrated people that are looking at this and going, well, wait a second.
But where are they, Kathy? Why are they not here?
You
There's a
know,
lot of
they
people that are
don't-
really
well,
excited
They wanna
about it,
hide the
too.
corner. I ask people to come up here and say, come with me and ask some questions, and they're like, oh.
Well, nothing's, then their voices.
We're glad you came up and asked the questions.
Well, I think if this is, everything you're telling me is true, it's gotta get out there. I don't know how you're gonna get it out there. Because
If people don't
There's a
buy
lot
the
of
paper, they
people
don't
that
watch
don't read
TV
the
and don't wanna
paper.
go to YouTube, I can't control that.
I mean,
It's public information. If you don't wanna take the effort to go find out,
we've
and not
talked,
purchase a paper, and not go on YouTube, and not watch the TV broadcast, that is zero part of our problem.
we've had a similar
The
conversation.
information is there if you want to find it.
We've
You
had a
know, it's
similar
just like all
conversation.
government, you know how that goes, the government,
Well-
oh God, we're gonna mask mandate, or we're not gonna
Do
mask
you-
mandate, or we're gonna do this or that.
I didn't know that these were on YouTube. For last I knew, they were all on Comcast. And
The-
that's the only place they were, and nobody in town that I know has Comcast anymore, which is another thing that's interesting.
But we've had some similar conversations, we've had conversations with Wold, you know, our consulting architects, about getting the message out and having, and with the hospital and the new ambulance garage and their, you know, advertising campaign to get that out. And we can definitely, I mean, it's all public information, we can definitely get more information out now, once all the contracts are in place and moving forward. But if people don't come to the public meetings and voice their opinion, you know, during the time that they're actually, decisions are being made, which, you know, it's a grueling schedule, you know, it isn't something that had, you know, we've had meetings with Wold, we've had meetings with, you know, numerous other outside entities, but the actual, you know, this all coming together kinda came together, you know, fairly quickly, not for Lee and some other parties involved, but I think in the last month or whatever, it's become more public that it's actually gonna happen.
I guess I didn't know it was gonna happen until I read it in the paper.
Well,
I
I'm
don't
not
know,
getting
I
the
usually
information.
read the paper and everything that we've said has been in the paper, and, you know, the minutes for the council meeting are always available if somebody wants to walk in and ask for a copy of them. I'm sure somebody would provide them, you know, so, we don't, our council meetings are always public except when it comes to personnel and financing until after those personnel decisions are made. And some of those are never public information just because of the HIPAA stuff that's involved nowadays,
But there's been restrictions too because of COVID and because of everything else, where it's been Zoom meetings and, you know, call-in meetings and other things too that nobody necessarily joined in from outside the group of people that were actually part of that meeting. I mean, they were able to. They could have called Chris and got a number and got a Zoom login and tried to make that technology work, but it didn't even work for half of us half the time. I mean, it wasn't an easy situation to navigate either. But this isn't a fly-by-night decision either. I mean, there's been a lot of planning and a lot of, you know, trying to make it work as far as financially and from an aesthetics and location, and it had to be a location that was, you know, applicable for the fire department and actually worked for them as far as highway access and everything else, and we still wanted a Main Street presence, and there was discussions on multiple levels with multiple departments for, you know, since the last time we went through and planned it, and it came back at $6 million.
And I
So-
think if you look at what they're getting, there's nothing extravagant about it. They're gonna get land, infrastructure, the building, everything turnkey for right at $150 a square foot. You can't even go out and build a plain Jane Rambler, the house, the building itself, for $150 a square foot anymore. Without, I mean, add the land to it and everything else. And that's a house. There's a lot more infrastructure involved inside this. Being a fire hall and the city building and everything.
And you are more than welcome to come up here. So we are leaving a 12,000 square foot building and moving into a 21,000 square foot building with the ability to grow also on one side with land across the road also. We have nowhere to go here. We can't even expand. The only way we can expand is to go up. And of course that costs money too. So you are more than welcome to come and look at the plans and see what is being proposed in regards to how everything is laid out. And they are in my office for anybody to come see.
Well, we were able to get in forever, so usually everything's
We've been
fine.
open since March. City Hall has been open since March.
But we can definitely scan and put, you know, once the contracts and everything are finalized, we'll be able to scan and put, you know, scanned images of, I think even didn't the fire department post something with their advertisement for the regional meeting and that had some elevations and some photos on it, so.
I think, yeah, Vischer had all that.
Yeah, so, and maybe he'll be one to talk to as far as we can get a message out through the, you know, fire department, Facebook or whatever. I guess council doesn't necessarily have that, but the city website can, you know, post some of that information and frequently asked questions sheet or whatever we need to do to get the word out to the public too, but.
And it's definitely not gonna be a perfect system if people don't have Comcast, they don't have the Medelia paper, and if they're not, computer savvy and look at the Medelia Facebook page or the fire department Facebook page. All they can do is stop and visit one of the council members, because we all pretty much, know exactly what's going on. So, any other questions? If not, then, I would like to have a motion to, close the public hearing.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Do I have any other discussion? Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried. Next is the 6:15 workshop, and I'd open that.
Alright, the first thing on the workshop is the Royce property. I guess I need a better understanding how the council would like me to proceed with the Royce property. And, Cody, maybe you would like to start with your concerns on how you thought we should address it.
Well, did you talk to Kelly?
I really want you to,
I think we just need to put it out for bid. I mean, somebody will fix it up. We're not tearing it down.
So, the only problem with that is if it goes out for bid and somebody buys it for $1 or
Yeah.
$100,
Okay?
you're on their schedule for it getting cleaned up.
No, you can have that in
Yep.
the bid. You get 90, 100 days, whatever, 120 days, whatever it is to get it cleaned up. I can't see the city, we're good at losing money. We don't need to lose anymore.
Well, I don't disagree, and I
So
don't,
get rid of it, let somebody fix it up, have another house in sale for town, or have another house for sale,
so
and we're done.
that's why I was saying if we picked it up and sold it, request for proposal, but you're saying we can't sell it for a profit.
no profit.
So it has to be, so we can't even sell it really, request for proposal, cause
That's
we can't
where-
take bids on it.
What we can do is, the only profit that, we can't make any profit, so if we were to acquire it and clean it up, we can sell it for the amount that we put into it to clean it up. That, or if we buy it for $1, put a request for proposal for somebody to come in and develop it, we have to literally sell it for $1. We can't
I'd
make
rather
any
sell it
profit.
for $1 than stick $8,000 into cleaning it up and get 5.
So
Well,
then you just
I
let
would
it
too,
go
I
on the
wouldn't,
auction.
I don't, yeah, if you just go to the auction, the only problem is what legal, backbone do we have?
That's the only
if-
thing I don't like about the auction.
Yeah,
If somebody buys it for $10 or $100 or whatever's owed in back taxes,
It can sit.
we have no more legal standing than we just did with the Royce, or with the previous owner.
Mhm.
How can we, Patrick, sell this with,
You'd have to do it arm's length, and you'd have to do it for the amount of taxes owed or the assessments or whatever's on that at this point. That's all you could really do.
So,
That's it.
so if we really wanna get it cleaned up, we'd have to take it,
In that
clean it,
circumstance,
and
no, but
sell
no.
it for that?
No, but in the circumstances I'm suggesting is in an arm's length transaction, if we don't make any profit, we could put it contingent that they have it cleaned up within a certain period of time. You put it at auction, and then we lose that control. So
Okay.
it'd have to be an arm's length transaction. So we could advertise it for sale.
$1.
Uh,
Control who buys it.
well, whatever we're owed in taxes, correct? And
Right.
fines and all that
Right,
stuff.
assessments, et cetera. And I don't know about court fines, I don't think that would be available, but you could set that amount out there to sell it and put a contingency in it that it must be cleaned within a certain period of time, and you could make that negotiable. And start out at the number that you're most comfortable with, and then somebody else, whoever comes in and says they're gonna clean it up, then hopefully they can do it within the time allotted based on that agreement, but
So-
she's, go ahead.
What would happen, sealed bids and somebody put a bid at $20,000 on there. Okay, what happens with that money?
Honestly, it's never, I don't know, that's not something that would typically happen.
Well,
Yeah.
if we can't make anything off it, then what? What's the rest of it go to the previous owner once they're paid off?
As long as they're caught up, I would assume that well, no, cause we own the property at this point, so I don't know the answer, I'd have to look into that. I'm assuming that the reason I don't have the answer is cause it happens so infrequently. When you have dilapidated properties and those that have been left in disrepair for long periods of time, you don't get a lot of money out of it, so.
Right. I just don't know if it makes more sense to take it on, so you at least have control of who it goes to next, so you can at least get it to somebody that.
Yes, but I
You
don't think
trust
we need
to get
to,
it
we don't
cleaned
have
up.
any business stepping on that property,
I agree.
cleaning it or sticking any money into it. We need to
I agree.
let some, we're not, that's not what we're here for.
Okay,
So,
so what are we doing? No?
what can we legally do?
When was the last time this happened?
Not in my, well, the last time that I dealt with a forfeiture property was I acquired it, but I was in a different town and I cleaned it up. And that's what I was suggesting to them that I was going to do, but Cody's right. We don't wanna be out any money, but we do wanna see the property being redeveloped,
Yeah.
and plus we don't wanna lose any houses.
But I think
Especially
with the-
rehab in that
Neighborhood.
technically price range, you know, I mean,
I
God, you
think with-
can't get, there's no, every house he has up for sale is gone.
With the
You know,
handful
and
of
something
people
in
we have
that
in town
100
that can do
or
that type
80
of work
to
would
120
enough
that a
to no
family
pay. That's the
can
thing.
afford, you know? I mean, these new houses out here, everything's putting up new houses are $350,000. You know?
The last one I remember that we actually took on and removed was the Garibay house across from the,
Right.
but we had
Yes.
adjacent property, or we had, I think we owned a lot next to it anyway, and that's why it made sense.
And that was in.
Right, and we ended up with the Garabig property, and that was also
And if that would have been today's
human
time,
service,
it would've-
thing, and there were all sorts of different entities involved, and it was the cleanest if the city would take that on and remove the property, and they were forgiven for what they owed the county and everybody else, and, yeah, it was, and then we didn't sell it for anything, yes.
What year was that? Do you remember, anybody?
That's about 7 years ago now.
Okay.
Early 13.
Yeah, it was 24.
Has it been that long?
It was 24.
Yeah, it was right before the.
And that was a lot where, you know, that was pre everything starting to blow up
Yeah.
as far as prices and now it's, I don't know. All I want is that we can figure out how we can get a property, somebody to rehab it that's at a reasonable amount. I mean, if somebody goes in there and rehabs it and puts a $200,000 price tag on, I'm gonna be irate. I mean, I will, and I don't know this day and age now. I mean,
Well, it
it's
depends
just
on the-
insanity what they're doing.
Depends on the extent of the rehab too.
Well, yeah,
But, yeah.
it does, it
I know what you're
does.
saying, yeah.
But that's what I would hope, that it wouldn't be this elaborate rehab. I would, you know. I definitely like whoever gets it, that sale price, you know, to be to that 190 to 150. I mean, I know the 90. That's just my old mentality, I guess. But I mean, not
Well,
this
we can't.
$220,000. I mean, that just knocks out so many people.
We really can't do that, but we can encourage them to redevelop it.
Right.
Well, I mean, is there something, you know, I mean, the state's all over this housing, low income housing or lower cost housing. I mean, is there something there they could help with, or say, hey, you know, we want this thing done, we want it in $120,000 to $150,000 price range, a decent property that the family can move into.
Jim, do you know anything off the top of your head?
Well, they're out there trying to put all this low income housing in different subdivisions, and
But that's low income housing, I mean,
well, it's to
I
build,
would-
see, I think they say it wrong on what they're trying to do. They're trying to get more affordable housing. And by saying the way they label it, it ends up being a firestorm. I don't know, that's all I'm saying. I mean, I just
need to
know it's
figure out
hard
how we're
to,
gonna sell it, or how we're gonna
Well,
get rid of it.
number one, we have to, or you guys have to come to a decision in regards to, acquiring it through the city, or letting it go back to the auctioners.
I would rather take it on and then try to sell it for nothing to somebody that we know can fix it. Or
Okay.
someone that we can at least feel like can fix it and fix it in a reasonable amount of time.
So-
Somebody that both has the time to do it, or has the means to do it, and has a vision for it. And I don't know if you set that up through RFP, or if you set that up through a regular, negotiation as a arm's length transaction. I don't know what that mechanism is to do it. But that would be my biggest fear, is to put it out to auction, somebody buys it for $1 and it gets sit on for the next 10 years and they just pay taxes on it and collects more garbage.
Mhm.
Why we had the chance to actually do something with it and turn it over.
But you're hoping to acquire it but not touch it.
Right, yes.
Jim, do you know if was that in discussion in regards to us not doing anything to it, but trying to put it out for RFP again? That wasn't discussed. Alright. If that is what you guys want to, if that's the approach you wanna go to, then I will then come back to the table with.
Well, did you have a number? If we bought it, cleaned it, and then turned it over, could we sell it for the exact amount we had into it from cleaning expense?
Yep, cleaning expense.
So then we
and
guarantee
the-
that
But
it's
the thing is you get in there and let's say all of a sudden you got, cause we're a municipal,
That's-
all of a sudden you got 15-20 grand into cleaning it,
Right.
and you're gonna get 10.
No, I get that too.
Well,
Well, and the other thing
I-
is, like I said,
think
I don't
if,
know
if you had
what,
20 grand into it, you'll get 20 grand for it.
if the property's
think?
clean.
Yeah, I'd guarantee it. Guaranteed.
But
I
the-
don't,
Depends upon what shape
This
it's
isn't,
at.
this isn't,
I understand.
these houses in
but
town
we're
are
not-
insane.
We're not into that, that's not what we're here for.
No, we just want it rehab.
So,
We want it rehab,
But
living.
the devil's advocate is, though, Cody,
I know what you're
if we
saying.
put out for a request for proposal and nobody brings us a proposal,
you will have a.
now
yeah.
we're gonna have to spend the money, because
Okay,
now
then
we
do.
own it.
Then we do.
So it's
Then
just the
so
same.
what?
So, but I don't have a problem with trying what you
I-
wanna do.
I'd rather get rid
The
of it.
devil's
than not do it.
advocate tells me that it isn't gonna work the way you'd like it to.
Well,
Just by the amount of garbage that's in that property.
I've
Well,
had a
we have a front
conversation
loader.
with a gentleman in town that has rehabbed
Oh.
half a dozen houses and said he'd be more than happy to take that house on and get it cleaned up within 90 days.
Well, that'd be easy enough then, so
So-
let's just take the house, whatever the county, and that way we have authority on being able to make sure it gets cleaned up, because that's the only way we'll ever get it cleaned up. If it goes to auction, we won't get it cleaned up and it'll just,
Well, you might, but you never know.
no, we won't. We got a bunch of other ones that we have to
I like
discuss
the
sometime
clarity.
before the
Let's
year.
try an RFP first. That seems like and if it fails, then it's the worst thing that happens. We go the other route and clean it up.
Yeah, I'm with Cody on that though. With the number of people in town that can do something like that, I have a hard time believing somebody's not gonna take that RFP.
Should I show you the before and afters of Nelson's house? That is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, you go back to that, I mean,
I bought duplexes that frankly, people thought I was nuts for paying $8 grand for and turn and burn it. I mean, I don't see that one any worse than anything I've ever purchased before.
I'm just looking at,
And I don't
somebody
do
gets
that
that, they
crap
have
no more,
20
so.
grand stuck into it, cleaning it up, they put another 60 into it, they have an $80,000 house, and they sell it at, let's say at minimum 130, that's a hell of a day.
Okay,
So-
so would you like me to put it as an additional agenda item for tonight?
Yes,
to-
ma'am.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's next on our workshop?
Actually, we have Adam here. Adam, we're going to discuss where we sit with the water looping. Because on tonight's, agenda, we have pay request number 1 for GM contracting for the 2021 water looping project, and it's probably about what percentage,
99%.
99% complete, but right now we're holding back the retainage and a little bit more, so maybe just fill them in on what the status of the project is.
Yeah, so the project's pretty well complete, all the water mains in, it's up and running. There's just a couple small items, a little bit of seating, a few other punch list items. We just wanted to run a pay application to get the contractor paid. They've been working since May, so it's been about 2 months worth of work they got there, so we wanted to get them paid before we do the final paperwork. That takes a little while for them to get that through, so they wanted to get something on the books for themselves. Like Chris said, we still got 5% retainage on it, I don't really see them having much work other than, I think there's a little bit of seating and I think that's about it.
So Adam, when you're talking about seating and you get out to where the curb stops are out in the middle of the field, it dried up now and, you know, it's all tore up.
Yeah,
And the first contractor, when we put the original water main out there, around the curb stops, they poured cement and then they also put posts in. So
we didn't have that in the contract.
we didn't
but-
have that in the contract.
No. So I guess if you want that done, that might have to be done either by city forces, or we could add them, or ask them to do a little extra
Well,
on that, but.
How many gate valves were added to that run though? There wasn't,
There's 2 out there now, right where we made the T connection in out there, we put in 2 valves to help isolate that.
okay,
So that's the only valves that should be out in the grassy green
Right.
area out there.
So there's the original valve and then there was 2 side by side where they just tied in, wasn't there?
Correct, yep,
Yeah, and my concern, because Reese did, I think Reese does that one yet, doesn't he? When they bailed that the other day, you know, other than the fence post that's out there, there's no way to distinguish there's a curb stop in that grass, you know, at least the first one had a cement pad all the way around it and 3 posts.
sure.
And I know that if it isn't in the contract, we're gonna have to do something so somebody doesn't, you know, because right now it sticks out of the ground far enough that if you hit it when you're driving through there with something.
in most situations, especially an open field like that, is that something where they'd adjust the gate valves down, the boxes down and actually cover them? Or would they normally encase them in concrete and then put up bollards? Either or?
Sometimes when you bury them, then
That's
then
worse.
they're gone, and then the other fear with that is then you gotta dig them up to
To
get them, and then now all of a sudden, then you're gonna have more potential for dirt getting down on top of your valve, and then you got issues there, so, yeah, I would still keep them at grade.
Keep them at grade and maybe do some bollards around them or do
Yeah,
something.
or, like you say, some kind of post, you know, whether it's maybe instead of just a T-post, maybe a wooden post.
Oh,
Well, they put 2-inch pipe in, and I don't know, I think they're even filled with cement, and I think they're part of the cement bill. Cause where that curb stop is, that's the lowest spot in the whole field, so when it does rain, that's underneath the water right now,
Sure.
you know.
I think city
Oh.
staff could
Yeah.
put 3 posts out there and paint them yellow or whatever they need.
Yeah, maybe,
And then they
Yeah,
should
Wade.
address the other ones if they're addressing the first
yeah,
one.
Wade, take a look at that, maybe get us
I think it'd be cheaper to have the city do it.
Oh, yeah, if it wasn't part of the contract,
Correct.
we just gotta get it done, because we don't wanna break one of those off when, you know, or the city crew gets overzealous and we have too much snow and they push the, snow out there and snap one off, we would be, you know, I hope we don't have that much snow we have to go that far, but you never know.
Okay, I don't will discuss it with Wade and we'll figure out something.
Sure.
something.
But I don't have a problem paying,
Yeah, I mean, really, to get into the final, it was just a matter of, now they need to get us some paperwork, and I don't really see any reason to withhold any final payment from them.
Is there there's no maintenance, or is there just a standard year maintenance?
There's a 2-year warranty on it.
2-year warranty on, so if there was a issue with,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's, you know, worth withholding final payment on them until grass grows in those
Yeah.
2 small areas. No.
no, not really, because
I mean, really, the only areas I'd be concerned about are right there by the golf course, the ones out in the field.
they'll grow in fast.
they'll
enough.
grow in.
Okay, how much information do you have on the water tower?
I got they have the schedule here.
And she's making copies of it right now to disperse it to all of the council members.
Okay, well, I'll just kinda start on that. So basically, they're gonna start up here, they're gonna build the foundation this year. That'll start about mid-August, and planning on having that done, it looks like by Labor Day. So the foundation will be completed this year. They won't start the steel erection until next year, so that'll be come March, April, once that gets delivered. And then they're planning on having that basically up and ready, that'd be, next September, so.
And just to update everybody, the colors of the water tower, the bottom will be the dark navy blue and the top will match the same color as the current water tower. The dark navy blue on the bottom is just to make sure, since it's by an open field, is not to make it look dingy and stuff. So it should cover up to not make it look like going over a new home. Sorry, Andy.
Yeah.
Going over a new home out by the airport, that looks kinda dingy, so.
So is there any questions on the schedule, or?
And that's all done, McGuire does everything in-house, don't they?
With the steel,
Steel and painting, and they do their own concrete work, do they?
I'm not sure if they do the concrete work or not, but
When we're shopping that water tower for, expanding our cell service, antenna leases and stuff, how firm is that final date gonna be? I mean, if we got cell companies that wanna get up there at a certain amount of time, is that something we can
Actually-
coordinate with?
Andy, Jamie actually was sitting in on the pre-con meeting,
Okay.
and Jamie's the one that handles all of the cell towers and stuff.
Okay, so they'll coordinate either with McGuire or with whoever the gen,
Yeah, so Jamie's on the job, so he should know what is all needed, just to let you know that, but,
Okay.
we're already looking at one, and, but Jamie is aware of the schedule to work out all the
Okay.
things. So. Any other questions on the water tower?
and the lettering was just gonna be to match the existing?
Yeah. So then we got wastewater yet?
Yeah, Adam, you don't know too much about the wastewater one, do you? Not really,
Not
no.
really. Okay.
That's all I have on the agenda for the workshop, but I do want to discuss one more thing in the EDA. But I don't know if you need to close the workshop and go to the E EDA.
Yeah, I suppose I should, because it's a different entity. I'd entertain a motion to close workshop.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Now I'd open up the EDA.
Who seconded that?
I did.
Maybe. Okay, I received a call today in regards to the sale of lots 5 and 6, block 5. They're also wondering if they can buy, lot 7. We only have one individual out there that has 3 lots to a house. I'm not sure how the EDA feels about, having 3 lots to one house. You have a lot of 2 lots out there, but no 3 lots except for 1.
And that'd be the Cook property, correct? McCabe?
Sorensen
Sorensen,
property.
yeah, 3 lots,
Or
Sorensen.
Yeah.
Any idea the size and square footage of a house they're looking at? I mean, are they looking at covering a majority of all 3 properties, or?
They are working with Brian Fisher to build the house, so Brian just asked about, they're interested in 5 and 6 for sure, but wanted to ask the EDA about the 7th lot, and I said, well, Brian, I said, I'm not really sure since.
I guess I'd be more willing to look at it if it was, you know, something that was gonna be equivalent in property value as if it had 2 or 3 separate houses on it.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? If the estimated value of the property is gonna be $700,000 or $800,000, then it makes sense, but if that same amount of real estate could have 3 $300,000 houses on it, then it doesn't make as much sense from
Which ones are they?
Yeah, where we at?
It's the
They're
whole
on the
top
north
half.
side, so it's the properties right across the street from Sorensen.
Could be the corner
We-
lot, 5, 6, and 7.
We actually had somebody else want to purchase that one and that one, and we had already approved it, but due to COVID, they backed out. And so they wanted you, the top 5 and 6, and then 7 is over here.
Oh, that's a lot of
4,
property.
4 is on the other side that has the playground equipment. They don't want 4, they want 7 that's across from 4.
So maybe, if Brian could get a site plan or even a, you know, kinda say where everything's laying out. That would be my concern, I guess I would, and I'd have no problem selling them all, or, you know, selling them the property that's gonna be built on at the lower price that we've been selling them for, the 40% off or whatever, and then selling the other 2 for full asking price either. I have no problem
Well-
selling any of those properties if they're not gonna be developed for full asking price.
I could see why Sorensen has 3 lots, but 3 lots to one house for that center section doesn't.
Well, the other thing, when Sorensen or when Cooks built that house originally, there was no survey stakes all the way out to that property. And you drove through the field and the house didn't get put in the right place when they transferred survey, and the house was already up when they figured it out.
And that's when we had the state building code.
And that's when we had the state building code. Yeah, and there were multiple people to blame on that, so.
Had to bring it up.
Yeah. So I guess that would be my thought process right now anyway,
Is to sell 5 and 6 for 40% off, or only 1
well,
at
I
40%?
would sell, for instance, if it's gonna be a $500,000 house, that's
Mhm.
gonna be built over both those lines, then that makes sense to sell those 2 at the reduced price. If they need the square footage because the house is actually that big.
But lot 7 has to be sold at full
Full
price, because
retail
that's
price. Or if
that's
it's
the
gonna be-
precedence that we've already set.
Or if it's gonna be.
Yeah, but that's when the precedence that was set was because we weren't selling them. This is a whole new leg. As far as I'm concerned, they should go off of full price. Full price, all of them.
The precedence was set for the lots that were on,
We'll make a new one.
Callahan were sold because one was gonna develop on and the other one wasn't, so the
I
other
don't
one
like the
paid.
fact of selling 5, 6, and 7.
I guess,
5 and
where
6
are
are
we
fine, but
at?
5,
We should
6
have papers on this, on the whole.
You got Beacon, don't you?
The,
I know.
these 2
Yeah,
lots
I don't-
and that one.
Which one?
It'd be
Me?
these 3, 5, 6, 7. I can see 5 and 6, but not 7.
Why?
That's a lot of
If you're gonna
property.
sell all that, why don't you sell that too? Full price.
Yeah, they're all available at full price. We're talking about
Because
discounted
this
price.
line, these
Boy, I
lines
don't
are
know.
distinct.
We'd have to be
Correct.
pretty involved in that deal. I mean, we'd have to at least, we'd have to know what's going on. We'd have to see designs. We'd have to know.
I'll take it back to
Does
the
that go
table.
to, is that design centers that's looking at that? Okay, well, then he's involved in that whole middle.
Mhm. So Design Center is working hand in hand with this client, and I
Okay.
said 5 and 6, because they're 40% off, that would be 5 and 6 where you're gonna put the house, but 7, however, I don't believe can be sold at 40% off.
Well, I just don't know how it's gonna look if you got Graceland down on the end. And then we're trying to cookie cut in everything else. We just went through this whole damn thing.
On the
I've
other
changed
hand,
a lot.
On the other side,
Well,
So
no,
how does that all
but we just
figure?
changed all the property lines here.
I'm
too.
tired of that
No.
meeting.
they were all the same,
I thought these got changed.
no, just these on the bottom.
just on the south end is the property lines got
But
cut.
the survey line got changed, so the survey line goes with the same setback as in the city.
I'd have to, you know what, I'd have to see, he'd have to lay out what he thinks that whole
I
rest
get
of
what
that
they're-
middle property's gonna look like. And we have to look at that. Now, on the pricing, fine, 5, 6, 40%, 7, full price, sure. But we gotta see how that's shaking in there.
Well, yeah, I guess I'd
Cause
wanna,
that don't make sense
just
when we
wanna
just cookie cut them 2 into the corner over there.
I'd wanna see what the site plan would look like and then an
And I'm not saying a
estimated,
cookie cutter, so just don't
estimated
say
value
that,
of
or we'll
what
be
the
in another
final
meeting.
product's gonna be. But yeah, probably if you want 7 additionally, it'd be a full price lot.
But look at what you got going right now.
I know.
This line right here.
Those are
changed.
5,000
Yeah,
a
but how are
year.
you
You're
gonna
talking
sell that?
15 grand.
Going with that one.
for them 3 lots a
No,
year.
that would put-
Right.
And if they put one property on there, what's it gonna be then?
Well, but
8?
if the property is a $600,000 property, then it's fine. Then it's the same equivalent.
If the house they build is worth $600,000 when
It's
they
the same as
start,
having two.
then it's the same as the
The thing is, if
$300,000
they're
houses that
doing
are
all
already
3
there.
lots and putting up a
We gotta see.
$300,000 house for.
I would like to see the vision, is what I'd like to see.
I said council would like to see the site plan and estimate value of the house,
Yes.
Okay.
and then we'll proceed.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay.
Because then they're gonna, whoever that group is, they're gonna be 3 votes out there.
We're not gonna have any votes before long, so they're fine. Cause we're not gonna have any.
We ain't gonna have
property.
we ain't got many lots left either.
That's what I mean,
That's
we're
a
not
good
gonna-
thing.
We're not gonna have any votes left either.
It's not a good thing. Don't think that that's a good thing.
Well, it's not
I know
a
that
good
we've
thing
struggled
for
for
the
20 plus
city.
years on getting rid of them, but times have changed, and we cannot think about it the way they thought about it when they were in here. These things are going, and these
No.
lots in town are going, and they're starting to just cut things in.
Until
The house we
next-
talked about earlier, it wouldn't surprise me if somebody just said, I'm bulldozing, I want the lot. That would not surprise me at this day and age.
But that's fine, as long as they redevelop it. But we don't want an open lot, we want houses.
Where
here.
are we going for the next, when do we start talking about another subdivision? That's what I'm saying, that's where, I know it's
Yeah.
swearing at the crowd, but if you don't think that we're gonna have to do something, at some point, okay, when that goes through, that leaves what left out there, 6 lots?
Yeah.
Not even, cause you got the 2 that we just redid,
And you
the
got
lot lines, there's houses
you
going on
got
there.
the 3 on the south side of the road as you come in.
Yeah, so when you drive in, there's still 3 lots down.
There's
by
3
that
lots there, and
grandmother's
then
old
there's
house
3
down
on
there.
the, so yeah,
Yeah,
there's.
and they'll
6
probably
of
be
them.
gone.
If you
We
drive,
knew they'd be the last ones, cause however they,
if you
put this
drive
in there.
around Madelia at this time, Dave, there's about, depending upon how they're mapped out, there's between 13 and 14 bare lots left in town.
With sewer service and.
With sewer service and
Okay,
utilities that are available.
it's
yeah.
fine, just throwing it out there.
So
I
you're
just wanna see
right.
the vision, that's all I wanna
When-
see, I wanna see the vision.
You can't ask people to come build in your town if you don't have
That's
lots
right.
that are appealing to people,
Well, obviously they are out there. Holy crap.
at least for one contractor they have it
Right now.
right now.
Okay.
Okay, anything else for the EDA, Chris?
The lot in between McCabe's and Bob Helling has come up again in regards to selling that to McCabe and Helling. Helling, I'm sorry,
Helland.
Helling.
No. We've been down that road.
Well,
Full price.
full price.
Was there still a?
So how much their
petition in the
taxes
works on
going
the
up
other
for
side?
that then? They each gonna split what a house would be on there? Is their tax gonna make up for that?
Probably not.
Okay, there we go. No,
I don't think you can physically.
They're gonna pay
fit a-
full, they're gonna pay full
I think,
price.
yeah. last
I
time
don't
we were
know
at this,
about that
it
because
was-
that's what I call a sunset property. Okay, those are very
Sounds like you wanna build one.
marketable right there. I don't know.
But didn't we just go over this like
Yep, we did,
not that long ago?
not that long ago.
About a year ago.
But wasn't it full price?
We'll bring it up again. And we'll address it again.
So being the new guy, what was the it that was brought up a year ago?
For full price.
Full price for non-built, or for non,
They
Don't
wanna
you
buy the
think
lot,
that them are
split
the
it.
prime
Right,
deals
right,
there?
when they
Those
had-
are your prime, these are what they're trying to split, they're trying to split one of these in half. This is open.
So
But
that's-
these are the ones that are facing,
That's McCabe's house?
nope, that one is.
Okay.
But these guys,
They're
there's
actually
another
trying
one
to
in
split
here.
the,
This is the one
no,
they're trying to split.
that's the one they're trying to split.
This one, McCabe
Yeah.
and him?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a little pie piece that's inverted this way. So you have to build far enough back so you can even get the house in there because
I see what you're saying.
it's
I thought it was
only
further north than
90
that.
feet across at the setback point.
Yeah.
So 90 foot across, you can, with the side setbacks, you can put a small house, but you can't access your yard.
And have two really upset neighbors.
and have two,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
I guess.
it comes to a point in the front, so,
And it wasn't.
Because part of that got
What's full
shaved
price
off
on it?
already.
No, not that lot.
33.
That was one between.
That was the other direction.
40%.
But that lot never got shaved off, that
That's because
was
they built too close to the
something the
property line, so
engineer
they had to
should
do it.
have
And we had to
made
we
bigger,
have
but
to,
that
like,
little
sell-
pie piece in the front is
who said it's all-
really narrow.
It can be brought up again, we'll look at it.
It's a
So
screw, it's a
then
screw shaped
the
lot.
backs-
where we
Yeah.
have to give
5
them-
grand.
It's a screwy shaped lot, there's a reason why it's a screwy shaped lot, because when they let them build the houses on there, they didn't do it right.
7 o'clock.
They
see
weren't
that.
built correct, on the correct parameters and the setbacks when they
Can
were
we
doing
just go at
those
them
two.
at 25,000? Each
God,
one pays
tired of
12,500
fixing
done.
this.
Dave,
Huh?
25,000,
Full
25
price,
apiece.
full price, whatever, they can afford it. I'm
That's
sure they
not the
can.
point.
It's 7
Their
o'clock.
landscape is more than a whole
Is it
property.
7 o'clock? Okay,
Yes.
I need a motion to close the EDA.
I so moved.
Second.
I got a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried.